Make it good. It's a big day and people are getting wrecked. What? You're laughing at people getting wrecked? Zero respect.
Hello, simps and virgins. Respect me. And welcome back to Krown's magical Doom Cave.
Oh, the Doom Cave is back as Bitcoin goes down. Elsa checks her portfolio, her beautiful Ethereum's in the early morning hours, and gasps in disgust. No, it can't go any lower than this now, can it? As we get prepared for the day, and we got plenty to talk about as well. I'm going to turn off the super chats for right now. Not necessarily the super chats, but the alerts for that, as it's going to get in the way of our explanations today, because we got a lot of things to cover up. First and foremost, before we get into the actual content itself, first and foremost, I want to say welcome to everyone out there, as we do have a humongous amount of people watching right now. 1,300 people. That is a new all-time record high before the video even really gets started. 322 likes on the video as well. Massive thank you for that. That is very, very generous. And in major, well, just respect again. And I can see that we got a shit ton of people in here as well. I see Jack in a crack as well. Not a girl, by the way. Not a lady, actually. But still love honesty. You know what? There we go. What's up, Nikki Page? We have a lady! Yes! It's a woman! Ooh, she's lovely, too. Anyways, Rocky G, good morning to you as well. Chris Biola, I see you over there. We got a lot of moderators, actually, today. Mr. Filson, good to see you, brother. Good to fucking see you. There he is, Rocky G again. Do we have anyone else in here, actually, from the moderator squad? I think Mr. Romaine, oh, Mr. Mournfall himself is right fucking there. Speak of the devil, the goddamn app is right in front of your very face right now, and he's working on it night and day, doing all that needs to be done, and the result has been fucking incredible, and there's actually a lot more to come as well, which I'm extremely excited about. You can also get excited for a bit of mobile action soon enough, but I'll leave that one up to him. I don't know necessarily where we're at with that one, and I do understand that things just take time. I see we got Josh in here. I see that we got, who else do we have in here? Neil, what's up, man? And I think I just ran out of space to scroll back on up on the comments right there. So beautiful on that. And I think, oh, Mr. Sidhu, what's up, brother? What's up, man? And then, Jesus Christ. And then I need to make sure that I also make this announcement as well, just because I've been getting a lot of questions about this. And again, if you're on Instagram, especially, I am not messaging you, or if you're getting messages from an account that looks like me with all the same pictures, a very similar name, but not the exact same name, it is not me. I have no secret, fund that I'm trading for people. I have no intention of ever getting you to, download something. Our app is a web app, which actually you could download, to be fair, but not fucking over Instagram, that's for sure. So please be careful with that. In general, the age-old rules goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it very likely is. So please be careful with that. If you're actually interested in my very boring personal Instagram account, there is a link in the description below, as well as my brand account as well. And there it is. And I'm probably not going to message you for those purposes, although I do read my messages and I do respond when I have free time, obviously, but I'm never going to ask you to basically trade your account. I'm never going to ask you to download some weird software that's probably a keylogger and that's probably going to get you hacked and just ruin your fucking life, assuming that you have any sort of holdings or anything like that. Please be careful with that. Let me make sure that I go down my old notes here, because we have a lot to cover up. And yes, okay, on to the Krown application now, because there is a lot of very relevant information with this today, and a lot of just really, really big things. Like I said, mobile functionality is coming, and also I should also let people know that the browser, or sorry, the app itself, it works on all browsers except for off-label browsers like fucking Brave shit browser, whatever the hell. I don't know why people love that browser. Sorry, man. It's just why use that? I don't know. Anyways, it won't work with that one. And if you are having issues with it, loading it, the best way to fix it is to, one, make sure in the URL that when you type it in, you delete everything after the .net/, which there's a link in the description below. You delete everything after that, and then you do what's called a hard refresh. It needs to be a hard refresh, by the way, if you're getting any sort of an error and you're on desktop and you're not on one of those shitty browsers. Sorry, those beautiful browsers that are not supported. You press Control, Shift, and R at the same time. That'll bring it back. That is how you get things to work, and then you can get this beautiful piece of work in front of your face. And there he is, Mr. Mournfall, just laying it fucking down, my fucking man over there. And holy shit, man, I see that we got an absolute metric shit ton of people in the house right now. Good morning to everyone out there, and let's get on with the actual content itself. I'm gonna polish off this coffee from my Krown cup. It's gonna keep me, it's gonna give me a little bit of early morning life, and I see that my video is actually boofaring right now, so hopefully that is not gonna be an issue. Uno momento, and we'll finish this up, and then we'll get right into it, my friends. Oh, man. Wow. That was a powerful one. What's up?
Someone says it's not funny that I laughed.
It's not Oh, it's not funny to laugh at people who got wrecked. I don't think she's laughing at people that got wrecked. She got wrecked herself. I mean, she's fucking holding Ethereum for the love of God. So, someone has to be having fun during all of this now, don't we? Anyways, no laughing aloud. There will be no jokes. And you know what? Definitely, absolutely none of this. What the fuck is that? What? We just got dumped on again. No, don't do it to me, you gigantic rhino, you. All right. Okay, so here we have Bitcoin. Hey, God damn it. What is it? Are you a transvestite? Yeah, sure. Elsa is a transvestite. On that topic, we were watching RuPaul's Drag Race last night, so maybe we are. Anyways, funny stories with that one. All right. Here we have Bitcoin. Let's get into the meat of the content of today. And it's right here on the Krown chain application, of which we have several things going on. I got my notification in the early morning hours that we have yet again hit below the 15 read on the fear and greed index, which of course is extreme fear. And that typically does align with, looking at potential bounty bounce situations, but it just basically gives us the bias over here. And then we have to correlate that with other more important metrics, more direct metrics that can give us an idea of what to expect on price action, which we're not necessarily there just yet. So I want to follow up on perhaps the most important thing that we could be talking about, that we've been following up on for the last 2 to 3 weeks now, that has taken precedence above everything else. And if you were just following this one thing, well, you would have very likely been ready for this good old dumpity dump right here. And that is the global open interest. Anytime that we've seen open interest above 13 billion with a B, 13 billion that is, which is basically this area right here, it has resulted in inevitable downside dumps. Of course, it can work its way above there, can even stay above there for quite some time, as we saw in our last most recent major all-time high at $69,000. But please do understand that ultimately it is a bit of a warning signal. It would be a good indicator to kind of add to your repertoire, especially seeing as it's free on our application right here, which you can find in the link in the description below, of course, which is going to give you a very good insight as to, hey, maybe not the best time to be holding long for long-term price action right here. And so we can just quickly run through this. The last one we saw, the first time on this chart that we saw above 13 billion was, of course, on this move over here in early March of the prior year, before Bitcoin went from $60,000 to not $10,000, but $60,000 to about $50,000, a $10,000 move relatively fast. We saw it yet again a month later on the April prior all-time high at $65,000 before Bitcoin washed out, going all the way from 65 down to 30 essentially. And then Bitcoin did it, or the open interest did it yet again on the September washout from $53,000 down to $40,000, all pretty much done in one day, might I add. And then of course the most recent one on the all-time high was the $69,000 tick right here, before going down from 69 basically to where we're at right now at about $40,000 low. Now, most importantly, and why this is still relevant, and where we're going to start to pull this in to be looking for the next major lows, is we are working off highs yet again. We saw this get significantly, I wouldn't say significantly, but good enough above 13 billion, about 13.5 billion, I do believe, on the most recent highs right here, on the 26th of December of the prior month, obviously. And that is resulting in yet again the same sort of price action, which is downside unraveling. So I want to now go into the hourly here, which, yes, you can just get all of this data for fucking free, and all you have to do is press the little time zone right here, and it'll bring it into an hourly data feed. And you can see that, yes, we are starting to really wash a lot of people out. It is coming down significantly. We've seen it come down a little bit more than 1 billion in the last few days ago. In the last few days or so, since this dumpola party really got going. But again, where do I start to look at this as likely to put in some lows from an underlying market dynamic perspective? That would be, especially once we start to get back down around about 10 billion with a B. And yesterday I tweeted out a chart. It was actually this chart right here. I just drew a line on it, a bit of a regression from our last few lows, coming in from the summer, coming in from September, and coming in more recently in December on this last little low right here. And you can see that the regression would be coming in around that 10 billion marker or so as well. So if and when we do see the open interest get down around there, I would be a lot more comfortable, a lot more confident saying that, hey, we're probably seeing this move get exhausted. We're probably going to see a bit of a major bounce on a higher term time frame. And personally speaking, that's kind of what I'm waiting for, to put on some big size. Until then, personally speaking, and again, this is just me personally, everyone has their different strategies and whatnot. I'm only taking short-term trades, and I'm not looking to hold anything, especially long, especially going against the daily trend right now. And ultimately, I do want to be a little more reserved until I see something more obvious and more fortuitous like that. On top of that, we can go to the market data tab over here. Actually, before we do that, I do want to call out that the funding rates, the global funding rates, while they are pretty much zero, which is a little bit below parity, they are not negative just yet. And when we're within the context of a big move like this, the classic signal is to see both obviously downside price action with open interest unraveling. In this case, we still have some ways to go, I do believe. And then also the classic signal would be with funding rates, printing some pretty negative numbers. We're talking like at least negative 0.05%, which right now you can see is at basically zero. If we go down into an hourly feed, you can see it's actually been trending up over the last few periods here, which is not the best, obviously. But ultimately, I want to see that classic read before I start to talk about, major lows being in. Until then, it is a bit of a free fall, and Bitcoin, is playing out a move down to that $41,000 area that we spoke about coming in from the last few weeks off of a break of the $46,000 region, essentially retesting the 4th of December wick low. If we go to the market data tab over here, I do want to once again call out on the indicators tab, the leverage ratio. Funnily enough, or maybe not funnily enough, depending upon your disposition, but maybe we'll just assume the best here. And the leverage ratio, which represents leverage positions to spot positions, is actually still I wouldn't say that it's going up, but it's not coming down. It's not going up, but it's not coming down, as you can see right here. So while the open interest is technically coming down, we still see a major imbalance between leverage positions and spot positions. And anytime that it's basically been above these regions, it's been resulted in some very, very nasty downside price action. If we go over here to an hourly, you can see that it's actually pretty much at all-time highs yet again. And then the other thing that I wanted to call out was, of course, the fear and greed index right here, which is pretty much at the lows. And we are starting to print a bit of a fractal of the sentiment that we saw over the summer on the last major macro low at $30,000. But again, this can take some time. And with the sentiment indicator kind of getting back into the extreme fearful zone, yes, we're probably looking at a low relatively soon. But again, until that correlates with what we see on the open interest and the other underlying market dynamics, plus what we're going to talk about in price action right now, actually, I would not be willing to call like, hey, it's all safe right here. Now, of course, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be calling this a head and shoulders going on right now. You could certainly make an argument for that. I mean, there is some validity to that. How would you confirm a head and shoulders on this price action, kind of represent the bearish view and talk about downside targets first and foremost? Because, well, it is a downtrend right now on the daily, not necessarily a weekly or above. But for right now, how would that be confirmed? Any sort of a weekly close below your neckline, which would be about $41,000 or so. If that does happen, next targeted region would be in the low $30,000 territory, somewhere between about $34,000 to $35,000 minimum. Here's the thing, though, and I will make a very aggressive statement today, maybe to my own chagrin, but I'll go out here and make it anyways. I do not believe that Bitcoin will be having any sort of a daily closing lower low than $37,000 based off of this one indicator. There's your fucking clickbait title of the day, right? Anyways, what I'm talking about over here, and for the people who have been tuning into this content for the past week or so, you know where I'm going with this. This is the hash ribbons indicator. This is a free indicator, not necessarily this exact one right here, but you can find it on TradingView. Just type in hash ribbons. They're all the fucking same, so don't worry about that. And you can just see that with all these blue buy signals, there's been a very, very important historical interpretation on this one. All 18 iterations have worked this way except for one, and that is anytime that we've seen a blue buy signature on this one, the daily low prior to that blue buy signature has been the last major low before never closing below there ever again on a daily. That does not mean that you can't wick below there again. Of course you can, and we actually see several instances of that in the past, but no daily closing lower lows than that. All of those 18 iterations work except for one, and that would actually be March 2020 before the flu dump, which of course was in some ways a bit of a black swan event. But I'll give you a quick insight into how this kind of looks and how this kind of works, and then you can backtest it yourself if you want. And then also, well, you probably should as well, just so that you can, don't trust me, trust yourself, and I can just kind of, show you cool things that perhaps I'm considering. But basically, this would be an example right here. Let me actually go to a daily, so this makes a little bit more sense. And let's just start off with this one. It's right in front of our very face. You see the blue buy signature right here. Where is the daily prior low to that? That would be right here, obviously, at $17,000. Yes, Bitcoin comes down relatively close to it. A couple weeks later, it does look like, but ultimately, that $17,000 level has never been retested ever again, and certainly not closed below on a daily closing basis. We can pull out another example right here. Obviously, this was from July of 2020. We get the blue buy signature right here on the 12th of July. The prior daily low to this was about $89.50. And of course, while Bitcoin does, give a few wicks down around around that region, no closing lower lows, and of course, what happens next? What happens next amazes you, right? And then of course the time before that was coming out of the flu dump, and that would be April 2020, where you do see it signaling given a blue buy signature right here on the 24th of April. The daily prior low to that was 6,800 right here, and of course, while Bitcoin does spend a little bit of time around there, obviously that was never closed below ever again. Now here's the one iteration where this does not hold to fruition. This is the one iteration that does actually not work. That would be this one right here from December 27th of 2019. You see the daily prior low would actually be technically right here, to be fair. But nonetheless, obviously about a month later, or 3 months later, Bitcoin doesn't just close below it, it fucking destroys that region. So obviously when you do have a black swan situation, a 10 sigma event, you're going to, probably, negate the statistics of something that's been working incredibly well like this. Here's the reason why I'm calling it out right now. And here's the reason why I would go as far as saying that Bitcoin's unlikely to get any sort of a daily closing lower low than especially about 37,500, let's say. And that would be because our most recent blue buy signal was back here in August 8th, which we were very, very adamant about in kind of documenting. And where is your prior daily low to that? 37,500. So could we get some wicks below there? Yes. Would we expect the daily to close below that level if this relationship is going to hold to fruition? No. So again, understand that whenever we're talking about trading, whenever we're talking about analysis, it is always, always, always about statistics and probabilities. Nothing else, nothing more. There's no there's no fucking bullshit like I called it, I predicted this, I'm the fucking, I have a crystal ball and I can do all this shit. No, there is nothing like that. It is only statistics. It is only probabilities. That is it. Nothing. You just saw me do it right there. That is all fucking trading is. Look, if you can just do that on your own with a trading strategy, then you can probably be, you cannot, it's not probably, you will be successful as a trader. You don't need a fucking program from me. You don't need to watch anyone else. You don't need to fucking pay for anything. If you can just do that goddamn work, you can get there. But the problem is very few people actually want to do that fucking work, which is insane, because you could actually build a skill for your life and, well, be set for life as well, if you so desire. So with that in mind, I want to now bring this into a few more other points of interest as we do go over here to our momentum charts. By the way, my man, Mr. KVDB, who came up with this indicator right here, he's actually hard at work with another indicator, which we might be even able to offer on the application. So we're talking about that right now. Obviously the decision is up to him, but I know that there's a lot of interest in that. Anyways, I wanted to call out this right here. Daily stochastic level on Bitcoin spot price action is approaching this about 11.5 base, as you can see. The reason why I've marked this one off and kind of this as a zone is that we have seen this area tested only a few times in Bitcoin's history on the daily stochastic momentum. Now, just like before, we did have a setup with this on CME. Until this setup actually gets fully and formally confirmed, it's really unwise to be like leaning into something like this, but it is an idea, just like the one before was an idea based off of prior statistics, which did not work out. So you can see that, in an example where it does not work out, obviously. In this example, we still have it available, but man, it's going to take a monstrous close today in order to turn this baby back up. So in order for the daily momentum to turn back onto the upside alongside rising volatility, might I add, as you can see, the HPP over here is starting to get back above about 30 percentile in this case. Well, you can see that this will not actually cross the upside until we do close above $44,000 and about $200 by 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, that is, or 0 UTC if you want to call it that. Anyways, the last one that we had an iteration of this same sort of signature was coming back from July 2021. And by the way, that was your last major massive bear trap coming off of this lows right here from 30,000 before going up to 53,000, and realistically, I mean, going all the way up to 69,000, which was a great number, by the way. We have another iteration before that would be way back on over here, relatively similar signature. However, this one did not go for the 11 deeper read right here, went for the more shallow of those, of which same sort of thing going on, rising volatility coming off the lows alongside daily momentum turning up, and this was your $10,000 low, which everyone was admittedly bearish within this region right here, including myself. I probably was myself, to be fair, as well, although trend was still up, so maybe not. I was probably playing it as a range. Anyways, regardless of that, this one was like a last major low before going from 10,000 to $20,000. And then of course we have another iteration. Would this be a good one right here? Yes, this would be a good one. In fact, this one's relatively similar to what we're doing right now, just for what it's worth. And while this one did produce a nice move from about 6,500 all the way up to 10,500, a 62% 50% move there almost. We did have a bit of a black swan soon after that, and that got absolutely crushed to the downside. So is it infallible? Absolutely fucking not. Is it interesting? Yes, I do think so. And then the time before that was actually the last macro low that you saw right here, of course, in December of 2018. Let me actually get the exact one right. That'll be right here. Where volatility cools off, and then that was of course your last macro cycle low at 3100 in that case. So I wanted to go over those iterations as those have been relatively powerful, but understand that this is a phantom. This is not in any way, shape, or form tradable or actionable, at least in the way that I look at things, as long as we are not meeting this condition right here, which for right now is 44,200. The reason also why I think that momentum is very interesting right now here too is because we're seeing major corrections in the higher term timeframes, which do correlate, at least in my opinion, to the macro, or at least what I consider the macro for Bitcoin, which is the 5-day and the weekly. The 5-day momentum is coming all the way down to the edge of the critical zone, which is, again, is not a good thing, obviously, but we can see that this number has corrected here to turn it back up from 60,000 all the way down to 47,700 over the last month, which is, technically a better thing than not, obviously. And then the weekly, same thing as well, going all the way from 65,000 now down to $53,000. So that is, more or less setting up over a long period of time. So I wanted to call that out as a little bit of hopium for the long term. But here's the thing, and here's why I do think that it's relevant. As long as Bitcoin is operating on higher highs and higher lows on these macro timeframes, technically speaking, macro is still bullish. Is it on the precipice of destroying that? Fuck yeah, it is, man. It's very close. What would destroy that? What would make me insanely not anywhere shit. What would basically just make me look for continuation on the macro scale would be a weekly closing lower low than $41,000, which would not be funny for this market, I suspect, as we'd very likely be expecting price action down to about somewhere between about $32,000 to $34,000 after that. Keep in mind that we actually do have a CME gap all the way, I believe, at about 34. Yeah, actually all the way back on over here at about 33 to 34,000 or so. So I would obviously want to be interested in something like that. And then if we go back on over here, I want to give out one more point of hopium. Now, understand, please, this is hopium. And right now, all trends up to a 5-day are to the downside. That's not like a bullish thing, obviously. and it would be this. And I want to give a shout out to my good friend Mr. Gritters in the Discord there. A little bit of hopium here, but I do think that it is relevant. And that would be the weekly RSI, as you can see. Let me actually plot it in right there. And you see that the weekly RSI does have a nice trend line regression coming in from our last macro cycle lows from 2018, 2019, essentially connected with our March 2020 lows, and then we are once again getting within this region, and well, that would be somewhat interesting to myself, and I imagine many people out there as well. Now, that also would imply we probably get at least one more try to the downside. So again, I don't want this talk today to be confused with being bullish. It's very similar to what we spoke about yesterday. Look, Bitcoin. Well, yesterday, I mean, we kind of already played at that move, to be fair, and we did get our move into the bottom side of this. Holy shit, that one actually played out just about perfectly. All right, fair enough. I'll take it. The old LARP line's working again, baby. I'm gonna get rid of that one. And so now I want to talk about what would essentially make me look for a big rally on Bitcoin, something that we haven't necessarily talked about before. It's something that's more tangible, specifically on price action. What essentially would account for or confirm a bit of a V bottom with some more immediate hopium, assuming that this would happen in the next 3 days? Well, that would be with Bitcoin closing back above our last breakdown point, which is going to be about 46,500 or so. If Bitcoin can do that, hey, we got something new going on. Very likely looking at a move back up to the shallow $50,000 territory. Until then, though, obviously all trends up to the higher term or up to the macro timeframes are to the downside, obviously. And we do see momentum, we do just see general indicators right here on the 4-hour are starting to get pretty overdone, to be fair. 4-hour BBWP is way the fuck up there, which does suggest that we're probably going to see a bit of a pity bounce relatively soon, maybe after one more try down around $41,000 to $40,000 base. And of course, we do see 4-hour bullish evidence starting to form here for the first time in an extremely long time as well. Is it confirmed just yet? No, bless you, sir, but also be quiet because we're very important right now. Sorry. Anyway, I'm just kidding, sir. Anyways, looking at this right here, you will have a chance to do that. However, what would be required in order to confirm this as a local low? It ain't happening right now. I'll put it that way. In fact, we need a little bit more structure here before that would even be, at least in my opinion, able to be like a potential. But basically, I'd want to see like a stop and reverse point right here. If you see something like that, we'd have 2 drives of bullish evidence, which is probably not going to be good enough to be like a major reversal, but it would be good enough for at least a short-term try to the upside, probably a tradable try to the upside. And then also we do see over here I think on the other higher term timeframes, it should be denoted that the 12-hour and the daily have no bullish divergence possible to be seen at all whatsoever anytime soon, unfortunately. In fact, we're even making lower lows on daily RSI at this moment in time right here. And so we really don't look for major macro lows until we do see, you know, at least 2 drives of bullish divergence, typically 3 drives. And if you do backtest that, which I'm not going to do on this video right here, you can do that yourself, and that's your fucking homework if you happen to give a fuck. But basically, if you do backtest that, macro lows are typically met with at least 3, actually, more often than not. Hopefully this video is actually recording right now, because I can see that there's a little bit of buffering going on in the background, so hopefully that is actually working. But if we do go quickly through the short-term time frame momentum oscillators here as well, I think that there's some maybe some interesting things that do suggest that we're probably looking at a bounce relatively soon, maybe after one more sweep of the lows, somewhere down around about $40,000 to $41,000. And you can see right here, 4-hour Stokes will actually turn back up above 41,400. Now, this is not a strong read. You really don't look at this as a strong read or even like a tradable read until you're back above the critical zone, for what it's worth. This is actually CME. Spot price action is probably, about the same, 41,600. 12-hour should be way the hell down there as well. 42,130 is magical number right there. And yeah, daily, we've already spoken about that. So lower term timeframes are pretty fucking, they're getting pretty extreme right here. We're very likely looking at a short-term bounce relatively soon, and probably a tradable one. And here's the thing. If this happens over the weekend, it's going to be a classic. It's probably going to be a classic fade the move over the weekend, with just one more downside move implied coming into next week. And again, we're making some assumptions here, so I do want to be very, very forthright about that. But we'll obviously cover this over the weekend videos. And then also what I want to talk about, I forgot to mention this. Hey, by the way, we have this indicator that we're offering for free right now, the Jewel Light. It's going to be free for the next month or so, and then it's going to vanish. It's going to be gone like the wind, just like the movie. Anyways, I wanted to call out just one quick thing on this one as well. When we do see this oscillator get all the way down to this 20 critical read right here, we typically do see at least some pity bounces. So I'll give you the last one from actually 29th of December right here. This was obviously not a reversal, but it was a tradable bounce, as you do see the indicator give a signal from about the $46,000 low before trying about $49,000, a $3,000 move in the context of pretty heavy downtrend. And even in the context of all of these signals in this downtrend move, they do actually correlate with some pretty tradable upside events. So we're talking like in this case about $56,000 all the way up to $60,000. That's another $4,000 move right there, which I do think is rather relevant. Anyways, there's a link in the description below if you want to give it a good old try right there. I also put up a video on it 2 days ago that explained how to use it, a very basic strategy, not an optimal strategy, but again, that is for you to do on your own time, but it will work, or at least from my back testing, it will work if you actually employ it in the way that I kind of postulate right there, which is very specific actually. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for Bitcoin, and I will leave that right there. What are you saying? It's buffering. It is a little bit buffering right now. I wonder what the hell's going on with this damn internet. It's not buffering on your side. I can see it a little bit on my own. It says that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, man. Anyways, I'm just gonna trust. I'm gonna throw caution to the wind and trust the YouTube guides or gods, and I'm gonna take a sippy sip of this, and then we'll get into some good old comments right there. Una momento, my friends, and here we go. Wait, you guys aren't watching on 2x. Oh, dear Lord, man. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, be careful with that, man. Holy shit, man. We already have 1,000 likes in this video. That is insane. And 3,100 people watching. Wow, good morning to everyone out there. And Jesus Christ, man. Thanks for joining in. I realize that it's probably late for most people out there in cryptocurrency land. But hey, I live in Finland, so it doesn't matter. It's early as fuck here, and I wake up at 5 a.m. anyway, so it's all good in the hood. Okay, sweet. So I think it is time to get in some comments. Let me just pull back on over here. I think Josh is certainly first. Oh man, you wanna dump on Kathy Woods, man. Oh dear Lord. ARK Weekly. Last time RSI was around this range was March 2020. Let's check it out. ARKK. It's old Kathy Woods. Oh man, I think she's been beat up enough for at least a bit of a pity bounce. I do kind of agree with you in this case. Do I think that there could maybe be one more move to the downside, perhaps around about $80 or so? But ultimately, this one's getting pretty mature on the downside, I do think. Let's see what let's see what volatility indicators are looking like, because this is what I really like to use to kind of judge when a move is likely to end. And what do we see right here? Weekly BBWP is getting up to some pretty extreme levels. We haven't seen this shit since January of last year, actually, and now it's on the highs, in fact. So I do think that you probably have maybe one more move to the downside, maybe just one more quick washout to really get out all of these longs, maybe somewhere around around $80 or so, and then very likely sets up for a bounce. As you did correctly identify, the weekly RSI is actually below your March 2020 levels. But again, man, I want to see bullish divergence on something like this before I do start to lean into, hey, we're getting ready for a bouncy bounce. And by definition, bullish divergence would essentially imply, or it's not that it would imply, it would require that you do get a lower low before that first, after this next closing low. So it's probably still got a little bit more to go, to be fair. I imagine daily's already building up as well, which would be a good thing. And it is, but well, it is. So it probably does try for a little bit of a bounce today, and then maybe next week it puts in its lows after a quick failed rally, something like that. I would not call this one in any way, shape, or form like a healthy prolonged rally, as long as you're below about $98 in this case, that last lower high on this ascending triangle before heading lower. And let me just double check. I'm just curious to see if this one's already played out the measure move to the downside. No, it is not, and I'm curious to see if that measure move is pointed down towards my $80 or so target, and it is actually a little bit below there, in fact, about $78. So somewhere between about $78 to $80 or so, I'm looking first before the next sort of major bounce. And again, in this case, like, hard chart to love right here, but it is very likely to bounce within this region, so you're getting very, very close right there. Anyways, you're saying looking for entry at 80 to, yeah, basically we'd be in the same boat on that. Not that I trade this thing, nor do I ever want to, but fair enough, man. Thinking of adding puts instead of just limit buys. Oh, wait, adding puts instead of limit buys. Do you mean selling some puts? Because if you buy some puts, you're going to just be you're going to be getting downside exposure. You're going to be buying some very expensive puts as well, man. I mean, volatility on the weekly hasn't been this high since January of last year, like basically 1 year ago, and daily's getting up there as well. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that play. I'd actually probably want to be selling some premium, maybe not today, but perhaps around start of next week, I imagine, assuming that you do get down around there first. And I'd probably sell some out of the money puts. Especially, do you have any underlying shorts? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. You didn't say so perhaps not. But yeah, I would not agree with your strategy, but I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to do there. I don't want to be long vol right now, or just yet. I think you kind of missed the easy trade for that. That was on the break on the last time that we charted this thing at about $1.05 or so. So fair enough on that one. But yeah, man, hope all is well, and let me know in Discord as well, because I do have a bit of a better understanding of like you as a person, and I can probably relate a little bit better depending upon like what you meant with that. But if you're thinking of buying puts right now, no, I would not, unless you're already long the underlying stock because you were maybe got a little bit too aggressive. Maybe that could make sense as a bit of a risk management, but I think that there's still better ways to be doing it, to be honest with you. Please draw LARP lines up to the moon, says Nikki Page. No problem, Nikki. I'll draw it all the way to fucking Mars for you. I think we had one other one that was right at the beginning, but Elsa missed it. It was, let me just pull it up. Can I pull it up is the real question. No, it's PFP Degen, but I got him. Anyways, he actually didn't even have a comment or a request. It's just a nice positive message. Thank you for that, man. Seriously, the most woke trader? I'm the most woke trader? What the fuck does that mean, man? I'm not sure that's a good thing. Thanks for helping us with macro analysis. Hey, man, I'm just reading my thoughts here for better or worse. Hopefully that is in some way helpful. And at the end of the day, man, whatever you take from this, man, it's of your own doing. So I always want to make sure that people understand that, hey, if you're getting something from this, that's because you're doing something yourself. That's because you're, taking something from what I'm saying, which is, I'm just speaking my mind here. That's all. I'm not like a professor, or anything like that. I'm certainly not a financial advisor, nor would I want to be, but fair enough. Again, man, give yourself some goddamn credit at the end of the day. I'm not saying that to toot your own horn. It's because I have to believe that, because that's how everyone needs to essentially be in the world, in my opinion. And that's how you can actually learn this and do this as well, like you're full on living if you want, I guess. Other than that, maybe it is better to pay like a financial advisor, but then again, they are notoriously about as good as economists. So fair enough. Anyways, I see John Candlewick. No message, man. Hey, but it's good to see you, brother. It's been a long time. I see you in the Discord all the time, and you're one of the good guys, my friend. You're one of the good guys, so it's good. It's a pleasure to see you. But feel free to have a message, man. It's all good. It's all good. I see Justin Young's been a while, man. So hopefully things are cool, sir. Brainwashing my 2-year-old with another brick in the wall for first day of kiddie school. Oh shit. We'll get to that in a bit. I do have a few more other ones to get to first. I think we have Robert Batista first. No, it's right there. It's orange. I'm just going by the colors. Major Snuffy. Jesus Christ. Elsa's like, okay, well, whatever. PYR, good sir. Any info for the short and long term? I don't know. Let's see. So last we looked at this one, it completely fell apart. I don't think we've looked at it since. And I'd still actually be bearish on this one, to be honest with you. This one is right on your range lows. Is it likely to get another bounce here on the LARP lines? Perhaps yes. But ultimately, you're kind of at the point. Here's the problem with a chart like this. You're actually at the point of maximum financial opportunity, right? Because you're basically on the low side of the range. Problem is, this is not fucking strong right here, and you're about to get a silver cross to the downside, which I do not like, and that would actually be, or would it be, a crown cross entry? It would actually, as we do have extremely low volatility over here, alongside a downtrend, alongside a cross in the making, and while we don't have, we don't have hidden bearish divergence, so there's one thing, I guess, going in for that. You probably get at least one more pity bounce right here. I think that you are, okay, you said short and long term. I don't necessarily know what that means to you. I'm going to guess 4 hour and daily in this case. Short term, very likely bounce here. Any bounce that fails to get back above your breakdown point over the next, let's say half week to a week is likely going to be the last failed attempt before the next major move to the downside, which actually would be biased towards in this case, to be honest with you, simply because of that cross going on right there, which would have targets down somewhere around about $18 or so for the next move. Let's call it like 18 to 18 and a quarter or so. But for right now, short-term bouncy, give it a chance, I expect, over the weekend. If it reclaims 2340, that would be your prior breakdown region. Then I would say, hey, no, hold off on looking for downside for now. Very likely to pop back up and test around the LARP lines, essentially in this case, which technically speaking, I should be looking for. But hey, if Bitcoin dumps out, this thing is very likely not going to have a great day, to put it bluntly. No offense. Anyways, we'll see. Robert Batista next says, hey man, love your work. Thanks, sir. That's very kind of you. Can you take a look at Moon River, symbol MOVR? Yeah. MOVR right here, USD on, I guess, Binance, and can you not tell by the name? Okay, next one. Sorry, man. Look, it's fucking bad. It's real fucking bad. When it's in a daily downtrend, you just go to the next one. It's low, man. It's low. This thing used to trade at $400. Krown, don't you think you're shorting the bottom? Well, it's already gone down 60%. Doesn't mean I can't go down another fucking 60% though. That is a terrible chart, man. This thing is getting ready for continuation. There's going to be bounce along the way, but I would not be surprised at all to see this thing significantly lower in the next few weeks here. Looking at daily right here, you're just breaking back into the bearish control zone for daily RSI. It's a little bit too new to kind of give a full analysis on that. Maybe the 12 hours can be better. It is better in this case. And what do you know? Another crown cross entry right here. We get a test of the 55, low volatility. You actually don't necessarily have a drive of hidden bearish divergence right there, but you certainly do have a lower high yet again. So I'm looking for continuation from here. The only thing that would make me slightly bullish on this thing is popping back above your last rejective high regions, which is going to be, I think at best, is going to be like 214. If you want to go by the book, then you'd be about 227 and a half. Until then, downside is the name of the game, and I think you got at least one more drive to the downside before pity bounce time, baby. Anyways, Mr. Sidhu, what's up, brother? It's good to see you, man. There he is. Now I see you. Link, please. Okay, gotcha. So Link was one of the better actors yesterday specifically. So this one's going to be a very interesting one to check in on today to see if it's still kind of holding up there as one of the strong. And I would say that it's still having one of the better responses, but ultimately I do think that this one is going to actually have a bit of a swing failure pattern right here. It does look like. Now, here's the thing. Technically speaking, I should be waiting for this one to fully close below the 55 or your breakdown region, kind of one and the same, but let's just say 23 and a quarter or so, or let's just say 23 to make it even, and a nice round even number. Until then, I actually should be looking at this as yet again another opportunity. It's just if Bitcoin falls through the floor here a little bit more, it's probably going to break down. You're probably going to find it back down around about $20 and 75 cents or so. Here's the thing though, I actually still would like this one long term based off this. I do like the rising lows and I do like the higher highs here, obviously, but the question is, does it come a little bit lower first before putting in a little bit of a reversal, as it has been acting relatively strong over the past week or so? That I'm not so sure about. I mean, when I look at the 5-day, when I look at the weekly, I actually still like this chart. Weekly kind of looks a little bit nasty, but so I wouldn't call it a swing failure pattern just yet. But below 40, sorry, not 43, but 23, yes, swing failure pattern initiated, and you very likely find this one back down around just below $21. And at that point, I would be looking for this one to give another try for a higher low. Until then, I give it the benefit of the doubt. However, if we go over here, I'm gonna be a little bit fearful that momentum oscillators are turning against this one, and if that is happening, that would be a bad sign. Obviously, $23.50 is going to be it for the daily on the magical number. 12 hours already turning down below 26.37. 6 hour is definitely down as well, below 25.25. 4 hour is also showing downside freshly below $24.30. So as long as those conditions are not met, I'm looking at this one as going sideways with a little bit of short-term downside at best. And if things really get nasty, how will you know? How will you know if things get really nasty? Because on the monthly, you do have a long-term macro base coming in pretty much right around your last higher low. If we go back to the daily, we should be able to correlate these things, and that would be about $19.50 below there. No more hoping for this thing. This thing is going to be another failed attempt before getting ready for big bad moves down, probably back down to about your $13 lows from the summer. Until then, actually give it the benefit of the doubt, and I do think it is one of the ones that is holding up slightly better. But if you break those levels, it's lights out. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate it when people say that. But I in this case, it actually would be relevant. So best case scenario, I do think that it holds this region right here at about $23. Again, I'm using daily closures in this case. If you start to lose that region, at minimum, probably coming back down to about 20.5 to 20 3/4, and then pray to Bula Jesus from there. That's where prayers aren't going to be needed. But until then, I do still look at this one as actually one of the better ones holding up here, actually. Anyways, Mr. Kevin Svensson, brother, what's up, brother? I'm trying to eat Chinese food, and Krown is showing poop videos. Man, I didn't sign up for this. Sorry, man. I'll get your refunds processed right away, sir. Indeed. God damn, man. Good to see you, brother. And as always, guys, I want to give a major shout out to Kevin Svensson. He's got a great channel as well. He is he's one of the more reasonable people out there, I do believe, and someone that I just consider a good friend. So definitely give him a look and check him out at Kevin Svensson Crypto right there. What's up? Yeah. Okay, the PYR chart is okay. Yeah, it's the wrong one. Okay, my apologies. So let's go check out the right PYR chart. So it's not the one that is on KuCoin. Says, hey, what's up, Genie? I'm guessing we're gonna try Bittrex then. This.
No, it needs to be KuCoin.
Oh, it needs to be KuCoin. It needs to be KuCoin. Okay, it's incorrect. You need to try KuCoin one. Oh, looks like it already broke down. Yeah, man. Or yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. I've been watching too much RuPaul, man. LARP line's definitely not gonna be working on that one. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, so this one already kind of initiated the move. So I guess we were looking at a chart from the past in that case, and that was way back on over here. Obviously, it's already broken that level, and yeah, now I recognize this chart as the other one that we looked at was not like the proper data feed, or at least it's like been stalled or something. Anyways, I actually would be looking for bounces off this region right here, but do not confuse bounce with reversal. This thing is very likely coming much lower. This is a parabolic blow off top. Here's what the real chart looks like, and while you do very likely get some pity bounces over here, I would not doubt another move slightly down around about $10 before this one tries for like the big bounce that is. So it really depends what time frame you're on. If you're on very short-term time frames, like a 4 hour, well, yeah, you're probably set up for a bounce here, to be fair. Any failure to reclaim your last breakdown region about 15.5, a little bit above there, and I'll just be looking at that as your next lower high before getting ready for just one more move to the downside. But this one, similar to a lot of the other ones that we've seen today, I do think that they're a lot closer to that major bounce than not. I think at most this one goes down to about $10 or so before it does initiate, a decent time frame bounce like a 12 hour or a daily, which is probably going to be tradable. But again, do not confuse bounce with the reversal. Reversal talk is nowhere near imminent on this chart. As long as we're especially below like fucking 19.25. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for that, and thank you for the clarification on that, Gohan's mom. All right, I think we got the Yol Bear next. He says, first question of the night. All right, scale of 1 to 10. How irresponsible is it to be putting life savings on a fund for 5% scalp trades, trying to time altcoin bouncy bounces on the 15-minute charts, asking for a friend? Well, I salute you, sir. I salute you. Look, man, to each their own, right? Question of the night. Scale of 1 to 10, how irresponsible is it to be putting life savings in a Well, here's the thing. I actually do think you can be a little bit more cavalier with your, maybe I should not say this on a big stream like this when there's a lot of people watching. Look, no, you should not be, probably should not be doing that, man. I don't know if this is like kind of like a troll question or not, but look, man, okay, here's the thing. here's the real question. Whatever strategy that you're using, have you back tested the exact way that you're using it, and you have like staunch statistics that are, you know, in your favor and giving you some sort of a statistical edge that you can verify that over time, minimum fucking 100 iterations, preferably more than that when you're trading a 15-minute as well. But you know, something like that. Do you have statistics for that? If you do, hey man, if that's acceptable to yourself, don't let anything that I say dissuade you. It does not matter what I think. If you haven't done that, probably headed towards ruin financially. So I'd be careful with that, man. Again, it all comes down to, have you actually derived your strategy statistics? If you have not, probably no strategy is the right one. I can never get over the fact that people will literally risk finances, maybe even their life savings in this case, and not know what that could potentially look like. Fair enough, man. Hey, teach their own, brother, teach their own. Again, I'm not here to be your dad. I'm just here to hopefully help you from my own mistakes in the past, where I've certainly gotten into that very bad behaviors, and I've actually gone broke before, which is not fucking fun. I would not suggest it. So I'll just leave that right there, and hopefully, man, that goes better for you, or hopefully it just doesn't go super south for you, man. That's all I can say about that, and I will move on into the next one, and we can talk about Mr. Jack Chance. This is good morning to you from Australia. Nice. Good day, mate. Can you look at near USD on the 4 hour? Looks like it might be putting in a higher low here. Let's check it out. This one was one of the strong ones, and yesterday, I think we were actually kind of bullish on it yesterday. Let's see what we have right here. I actually do quite like this one still. So we are getting higher lows still at about $14. Yeah, I would agree with that. You're still in a consolidation on the daily for what it's worth, doing something like this, obviously. Maybe I should record a video on this one. But something like this, kind of the bullish view. And here we have near protocol on the daily. We'll actually do a full overview on this one. Still among the strongest coins that we've seen, certainly today, but of the last like few weeks here, as it consolidates on a new all-time high. Very similar to what we saw in Curve, actually, although this one I would say is relatively stronger than that one, to be fair. It's actually one of the best looking charts in cryptocurrency land for right now, even though it is just consolidating. However, here's the thing. You will lose your short-term good posturing, not here any longer, but right here at about your last higher low, which is $13.50. Below there, I would look for one more correction, somewhere down around $12 even or so, a little bit further down around here, actually, to be exact, somewhere between about $11.90 to $12, let's say, if that level is lost. Until then, it's actually still quite good, and does say a lot about this coin or asset protocol, whatever the fuck it is, doesn't matter. It looks good as a chart as long as it's remaining above there, and you will have a confirmation of bullish continuation to new all-time highs with an implied target just shy of about $20 on any sort of a daily closing higher high. If you are using a short-term time frame like a 4 hour, could you still use that same area? No, I would say the area to be using is actually this wick high right here at about $17.50. One of those two routes of criteria would work for me for targeting that next move up to $20, and very likely does not stop there, I believe, as that would be just at the 2.272 extension. Usually don't see tops around there. I'm probably looking for an extension somewhere around about $21 to $21.50 before the next major high, if that condition is met. Until then, it still operates as one of the best charts. We got a pretty damn good, or not we, but near got pretty damn good 5-day closure. I think it was yesterday or the day prior, and the 2-day is still consolidated highs as well. So the question is, do you get a bit of a drawback first? That would be confirmed with a daily below your last higher low, again 13.5, with targets down to about $12. Until then, actually still among one of the better charts. Again, if we go over here to momentum charts, I imagine that this is still having a bit of a corrective phase. So let's just double check. See, the 4 hour is actually coming down below $15.50. So again, short term, a little bit of correction here, sideways and down, it's fine, as long as it remains above those higher lows. Daily coming down hard below 16.5. So again, I do think that this one is at best going to consolidate into the weekend, and then at earliest next week may give another try to the upside. But be aware of where the invalidation is and be aware of where the validation is. These are very, very critical in this case, as this one is showing more corrective indications in the short term, and I imagine that is going to be accompanied by some regular drives of bearish evidence, especially on your medium and lower term timeframes, which you certainly have right here. So I would be saying that. I don't think that, to be honest with you, I do not think that your current low right here is going to work out as your next higher low, to be fair. The reason why I say that is because on your 4 hour, the setup is not too great, actually. So maybe I can find some hopium on the 12 hour or the daily. And no, I'm actually getting the same thing over here. I do think that this one's going to pull back a little bit lower. But again, that's just my personal opinion. And I'd actually still be bullish on this one long term as long as you're above, what was it, like that $12 number. And I would actually be looking for the next major low somewhere around there, to be fair. Although the daily has a slightly different look, to be fair. So again, I do give this one the benefit of the doubt. I just want to see it clean and clearly close above that level that we spoke about earlier. If that happens, I'm looking towards basically $20 to $21, let's call it. All right, there he is, Mr. Josh again. 1 second. Whoops, let me just shut that off. Beautiful. Josh says, Ethereum USD 5-day, please. I got you, brother. I got you. Let me pull this one up over here. 5-day. Yeah, the 5-day was actually quite telling. And I don't know if we spoke about this when it actually happened way back on over here. This was last week of December. I'm definitely going to record this one. Here we have Ethereum, Mr. Buterol versus the US dollar on the 5-day. As requested by my good friend, Mr. Josh. We're coming down to the 55 right now, and technically speaking, on the 5-day and the weekly, you actually still do have an uptrend for what it's worth. Here's the thing, though. This is the last point of hopium for this asset, at least in my opinion. We've come down almost exactly to my $3,000 to $3,100 target. Today's low is $3,144 thus far, so I do think that there could be maybe one more move to the downside, maybe somewhere down around the 55 on the weekly. Anywhere between there on the 55, between the weekly and the 5 days, kind of where I'm looking towards. The 5 days are already there, obviously. The weekly is almost there, just below $3,000 actually. But here's the thing: assuming that you do have a nice bounce from that region, you actually still will have higher lows, and this would still be considered an entry right here. Speaking of the weekly BBWP and the 5-day BBWP, so volatility incredibly low here. It actually hasn't been lower than this for more than a few times in history, and we actually would have hidden bullish divergence potential over here as well, as we do have significantly lower lows on 5-day and weekly RSI than our last major low here, which was coming in from late September, obviously. So that is a humongous amount of divergence, to be fair. Here's the thing, though. This is in no way, shape, or form confirmed until you get something resembling a reversal right here, which on the 5-day and the weekly is nowhere near fucking happening right now. So this is hopium, to be 100% directly clear. If you're on a daily, the earliest time frame that I kind of suggest that you would start to play those out, and you might even be looking at the next major low, although this does not fucking look like it right there, to be fair. It would be, at minimum, need to close back above your 3,500 breakdown region. I would say above 3,600, you actually would reclaim that and start to look like it's not a swing failure, just be getting back above your breakdown regions right there. Until then, this is kind of free fall right here on the daily. Volatility is just starting to get above 50 percentile. We do see daily RSI getting deep within the bearish control zone, and there is no regular bullish evidence to be seen anytime soon. And if we go over here to momentum, I'm just curious to see what the higher term timeframes especially look like, because that would be rather concerning. If we go over to this chart right here, 12-hour is just nosediving below 3650, not great. Daily is also freshly down, and volatility turning up right here as long as below 3530, not great as well. 2-day, it's a little bit more corrective, to be fair. 5-day is downside below about 3900, and weekly is just nosediving below about 4400. So at this is fucking hopium, man. Look, this does not look good. Monthly, you're probably going to have a short-term time frame bounce relatively soon around here. Relatively soon, but do not confuse short-term time frame bounce with reversal just yet. Reversal talk on this one cannot be happening, at least in my opinion, as long as you're below about 3,600. Above 3,600, yeah, you might have your next major higher low in place. You're probably going to see Bitcoin do something similar as well, if that is going to happen. So probably just easier to watch Bitcoin to begin with. But for right now, where are continuation targets to the downside? That would be the weekly 55 in this case. That is going to be just below 3,000, technically speaking, or sorry, more directly speaking, at about 2860 or so is kind of where I'd be looking for. We do have many drives of bearish evidence come off this trend right here, so this would be one of those situations where you probably do reach for that. And I think the hopium is that you're gonna have like a quick and painless, somewhat quick and painless, down and up, and then you get brought back above your breakdown levels at that 3,600-ish region. If you see something like that within the next couple weeks, that would be good. But again, hopium right now, this thing is not too hot for what it's worth. So maybe we could just quickly go to like a bi-weekly. Is there anything obvious right here? Yeah, you're on the 21. I mean, you're very likely to bounce here short term. So I just want to be very clear in stating that bounce and reversal are not the same things. Reversal talk happens above about 36. Until then, you're in more of a bouncy bounce short term region, whether you come down officially to about 2950 or not. I don't have a strong opinion on, although higher term timeframes do say at least one more move to the downside, to be fair, alongside probably Bitcoin as well. And then, well, be careful after that, I do suspect. So let me actually just make sure that I'm good to go over here. I am. We can just briefly go over maybe a 4 hour right here. This is continuation for right now. I mean, volume's still increasing to the downside, and you're just starting to get your, actually, no, you don't have a drive of bullish evidence in the 4 hour just yet as well. So I really don't want to be looking for major lows until you get at least three drives of bullish divergence, which way back on over here last week of December, kind of starting to build it right there. But I suspect that you got one more drive to go at minimum, and then we could start talking about bounce targets. Until then, very, very risky in this case. And hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Ethereum, sir. Maybe I should have checked it over on this chart as well. I actually forgot to reference this one. Where are we out on a Trollinger bands? So we're getting very close to the bottom side Trollinger band right there. Everything's kind of nosediving, not great. 5 day, yeah, same thing as well, man. The 5 day actually has me quite scared on this one, to be fair. But hopefully that was helpful, man. And there you go. Let me just pull back on over here. I think we have Alonzo Viga next. He says, hello, sir. What's up, man? Please, CRV. Yeah, CRV would be a great one to be looking at, all things considered, just because it has been one of the stronger ones. Let's see how it's holding up today. And again, I still look at this one as a healthy correction here for what it's worth. This one's hasn't even really broken trend, especially on the higher term timeframes. We should probably pull it up on this chart as well, because this is the one that I've actually been following on it. But I do imagine that it has broken my $5 level, so that does imply that we've already seen the 480 move. So I would be looking for a short-term bounce right here. And here's the thing. This one, okay, so I would actually go as far as saying, okay, Bitcoin's actually coming down a little bit more here, and this one's still holding in relatively strong. I mean, this is not bad. Anyways, okay, so you actually do have a bit of a setup right here. You still are on higher lows for now. Volatility is relatively low, I would say, in the context of this current trend. You still have the higher lows, and you would have hidden bullish evidence right here if it does confirm a local low from this region, no lower. That is very, very important, as you kind of already hit your downside target from that from that last short-term breakdown region, which I believe we covered on yesterday and the day prior's video. So how would you confirm this as a local low? And this starts to look, really good again with more immediate upside targets. That would be with a daily closing base, or maybe we could even use a 4 hour right here. Yeah, I probably could use a 4 hour in this case. A 4 hour closing high above 572 specifically. If you see something like that, that'd be good. For right now, you're based off of some pretty strong areas, or technically strong areas. Your 4 hour 200 simple, your daily 55. Both of these are rather important. And seeing that the 4 hour is already hitting extremes on BBWP, you're probably looking for a bit of a bounce of this region, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, maybe with a few more wicks to the downside. And then I'd watch the daily to kind of take over. If you see it back above the 572 region, that will confirm that as your next higher low. And then I'd be looking for daily trend to once again resume. All higher term timeframes on this one are still more or less good in my opinion, to be honest with you. It's like I'm gonna fucking lie to you about the chart. Like, Jesus Christ, use correct English, Krown, express yourself properly. But in this case right here, we actually don't have bearish divergence on the weekly, which I was kind of expecting. 5 day does, and I suspect that if you do break this current region, which is about 480 on a daily, I would look for a next move down to about 420, which is a great number actually. Nice, man, nice, very, very nice. But ultimately, again, among some of the better charts here, I stand by those statements. It's just how far down do we go, and how much opportunity do we give on potentially another higher low. Weekly will be coming down if we do close below 470, which right now you're about 12 cents above right now. 5 day is up as long as above 420 as well. Great. Daily is nose diving below 660, so short term more corrective here. Yeah, we kind of already got that. 4 hour turn up back above about $5 or so, and hourly is going to turn up above 480. So again, this is still among some of the better charts, among some of the more strong charts. I think that you got one more wick to the downside here, somewhere around about 469, and then I'd be looking for the other higher term timeframes to kind of take over. And if you see it back above 572, that's really, really good for the long term, and I'd stick with the long term targets. The question is more or less when on this one, and it'd still be relevant to be looking at, at least in my opinion, around $8-9 actually long term. So here's the thing, Bitcoin completely shits the bed. Is this thing going to survive? Probably not. But for right now, as long as Bitcoin's kind of holding that $41,000 weekly higher low, okay, it ain't the worst. Let's see. I think we got Mr. Jack Assman next. What's up, brother? No? Who's next? Oh, the Yole Bear. Follow up on life-saving scalping. Made and lost the equivalent of a family meal at Chili's. So okay. All right. So it's all right. So this is not like fair enough. Stop loss question. Don't want to say anything like super offensive right there. Anyways, stop loss question. How do you think about them? How tight is too tight versus how loose till you Till you might as well not have one. Okay, so this is a really good question, and it's always going to come back to this. And man, someone asked me in the Discord this similar question earlier, and it's like, I almost boil when people ask me this question, because it shows, and no offense, and I'm not trying to speak downwards towards you, but it shows that you're not really understanding what trading is and how you can actually have an edge in trading. It's not like there's a million different ways to manage risk, a million fucking ways to manage risk. The way that is going to make you successful is by actually back testing the exact way that you're postulating with that. You can have super tight stop losses and be very successful. You can have very wide stop losses and also be successful. It depends on your strategy, man. And this is why you need to back test. You need to fucking back test, because then you're going to know. For myself, the way that I like to do it a lot of the time is just by looking at ranges. That's all. So sometimes it'll naturally be a little bit tighter. In fact, I want it to be tighter, because if it's tighter to my invalidation, then it means that I will risk less, respectively, in order to get that trade in. And if I do it right, then that area as an invalidation should be a big pivot on price action. For example, on the daily right here, if I was trading this range, which would be very simple, I mark off this area right here. I say, okay, if I'm going to take a short off this region, all I have to do is just wait for a higher high closing basis above this trend line right here, and I'll take out the position. You know, that would work for me, but will it work for you? I don't know. I don't know how you're going to enter that position. I don't know how you're going to manage that position. You also need to have some sort of a very, very extreme situation extreme like stop loss as well. So I have two things. I have both an ideal stop loss, which is typically based off of closures above that range, or I have what's called an emergency or expedited stop loss, which I will just use like an area that clearly, and it's going to be further away naturally, so more risk involved with it, but clearly if that area gets stabbed, I'm just out. It's a market stop. I don't want anything to do with that position. It's all fucking risk. Get me the hell out. So again, man, it always comes back down to what is your damn strategy. Have you back tested your strategy? If you haven't, you don't have a strategy. You can't be trading and expecting success long term. It's just I'll say that point blank period, mostly because, and it comes from a place of love, simply because, look, man, I went broke doing that basically, and it's not like there's nothing fucking honorable about that, to be honest with you. It's really not. So yeah, man, save yourself that pain. But if you're just talking about like Chili's meal type of money, then fair enough. Hey, you know, all the more power to you. Have a little bit of fun in your life. I'm guessing it's just like, you know, it's like a video game, right? Fair enough. You know, just understand what you're doing. If you're trying to be professional about it, if you're trying to be really successful about it, and you really care, you got to go through the whole fucking process of, at the minimum, doing the goddamn bare minimum, man. Doing the goddamn bare minimum. Anyways, I think we got Thomas Than next, and then we got Jack. Sorry about that, Jack, brother. Matic. Oh, but he's asking the same thing as you. Matic. Okay, gotcha. Let's see. How is it holding up through this carnage? I imagine we're at minimum down to our 220-ish region. Yeah, we definitely got down to our 220-ish region. Now down to our $2 region. Let me take a sip of this one, and then maybe record this one as well. Grist for the Lel actually totally just nailed it right there. I'd watch and study for months and trade paper before I started actively trading crypto. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't need to risk any finances while you're learning or while you're testing your strategies. That's the beauty of just having all this charting software available freely for people. There's absolutely no excuse. If you really do want to take it seriously, you don't need to risk finances. You can just trade a demo account, you trade a paper account, test out all your strategies there, get the necessary information, and then move on with your life. Anyways, Matic on the 4-hour and daily, and let me just kind of do a general look on this one first. Where are we at on the weekly? I mean, we're down to the $2 level, so this one absolutely shattered my 220-ish region. Next area of interest is going to be 185, which someone called out yesterday, which is probably going to be relevant right here. Anyways, here we have Polygon symbol MATIC versus the dollar. And let's just go over a general overview on this one, as we do see that certainly our 220 target was met. The bounce from it is so far getting pretty faded, it looks like. I'm not a humongous fan of this bounce thus far, and it'll be completely negated, and I would be looking for 180 targets to 185 targets on a closing lower low than what you saw on the 5th of January, which was 2 days ago now. And I could even use a full hour in this case as well, most likely. But for right now, I would be looking for a short-term bounce. I would give the $2 region a chance to hold. And to be fair, it is actually not even broken the 220-ish region that we were speaking about, the 55 right here, essentially. So if you do see today close back above, especially the 55, 225, which is just below 220. Actually, it's not exactly 220. It's more like 217 or so. Then I would say that, hey, here's very likely your next major high or low. We see the same thing over here, low BBWP coming into that low, and we do see that we would have hidden bullish evidence on this higher low as well. Problem is that if you do start to trade below this region, and especially close below that region, either on a 4-hour closing lower low than the 5th of January, or just a daily closing low like here or lower, just basically anywhere below 215 would probably do it for me. I would be looking for the next leg down somewhere around the 21 in this case, which is about 180 to 185 or so. And that is a relevant target, seeing as you do have multiple drives of bearish evidence come off that last high. So I do think that is still relevant right there for the next drive if you do fulfill that criteria. So understand the validation and invalidation conditions. Until then, it's actually still holding up as one of the better charts, to be fair. The monthly is, I mean, this is still long-term good as far as I'm concerned. The question is, do we come a little bit lower first or not? The monthly says probably okay long term, to be fair. I do want to check out momentum over here just to see, and then I did not do a full overview of the higher term time frame, so maybe we do that as well. 4 hours freshly turning down below 210, so that is a little bit more problematic short term, but I do think that at least let's see the daily. Yeah, the daily is coming down really hard right there at 255. 5-day is also freshly down below 250, and weekly is going to be freshly down below 230. So this one, I think at best is going to be going sideways for a while, which makes sense. I mean, we did hit our $3 target, which was a major target. So you do kind of expect, long-term consolidations after something like that. In this case, that probably aligns with like a few weeks at least. If we go back down to a short-term time frame over here, I'm just curious, do we see anything that's obvious right now? Yeah, we will start to build some bullish evidence on a 4-hour, and you'd even have 3 drives of this as well. Problem is that you need to confirm a local low here first. So you don't have a local low just yet. How would you confirm a local low? I'd want to see a 4-hour back above basically that 219 to 220-ish region. At that point, you probably do see a run, actually probably a nice run back up to 240. Your obvious bear trap situation, like let's say we get a bit of a V bottom, or not necessarily V bottom, but a bit of a bear trap. Where do you get that confirmed, and where does this thing start to look actually quite good for a major low being put in right here? That would be this last lower high at 228. Just anywhere above there would look phenomenal, actually. So the hopium is that you're going to do something like this, kind of in line with my LARP lines down here. You might see a slightly closing lower low than that, and then pop back up, and then back above this region right here. That would be really good. And looking for moves back up towards $2.50. Still probably trade sideways in a range for a while, but that would be a very healthy range and imply long-term continuation still to our much more long-term targets, of which months down the road, assuming that this all holds to fruition, probably still looking at somewhere around about I guess $3.5 to $4 would be the next like major areas to the upside after that. But until then, short-term corrective alongside the rest of the market. And this would be one of the ones that I really want to be aware of if and when Bitcoin does get its next major bounce. So this one's probably going to bounce pretty damn heftily as well. It's just been one of the more strong ones. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for Matic. If I'm looking at the 2-day, by the way, I do think that it will come at least for one more swipe of like $2 or so. So there you go. And hopefully that was helpful, man. Awesome, man. All right, sweet. What? Jack actually is asking the same one, but if he wants to look at a different one, GBP. Oh, you want to look at the pound? Yeah, let's look at some forex, man. Hell yeah, I actually really love to look at forex. Let's see. Shit. Okay, weekly. Gotcha. Weekly. This one looks like a major low right here, man. Major low being put in right there. Weekly Jewel also turning up at the same time. I mean, that doesn't really happen too often, but when it does, usually has some good moves behind it. Coming off the 200 simple as well on the weekly, you're very likely to get, I mean, you kind of already got like the easy bounce off that, but the next portion of this bounce is going to be the big one. So where would I start to confirm that? Well, if you're looking at a daily range, which I know you didn't ask for, but I do think it would be pertinent to manage on a range like this if you are going to be looking at a weekly. I just want to see above your range highs, which is coming in from your 10th of November spike right there. And if that is met, I would be looking for a full-on move towards the daily 200, which is about 137, 138 region. Weekly, do we see any other things that are suggestive of continuation from here? So if I was going to be looking at this as a lower high, Jack, I'd be expecting to see weekly hidden bearish evidence, which is not going to be possible as we're not making higher highs than that just yet. So that is a somewhat good sign. Maybe the monthly is going to be more obvious. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Yeah, I do think that is going to be a major low right here, actually, based off the monthly. Again, monthly pulls back into a higher low, very low volatility right there. We are not going to have, or are we going to have? you actually will have hidden bullish divergence if and when this does confirm as a local low, which technically on a monthly won't happen until you're at minimum back above about 136. But I do think that's actually going to happen right here, and you do initiate another move back up somewhere around your range highs. To be fair, I actually do think that that's what's happening right here. Let me just double check over here. And see if momentum is also on the same side. That'll make this a lot more of an easy call. Weekly Stokes are up as long as above 132. Monthly is going to be nosediving below 140, but that is still corrective, obviously. 5 days also up above 132. And daily is freshly down below 135, kind of oscillating there right now. So short term, you probably do pull back a little bit more. But I would actually be looking at this as your next major low, Mr. Jack, as long as you are maintaining daily closures above your last little range breakout on the daily, which is 133.70 right here. Until then, I probably expect a bit of an oscillation right here. Might pop back down for another higher low, something like that. If you see something like that, and then specifically getting back above 136, that's going to look like your next major macro low with targets back up to the top side of your range, which is going to extend the daily target significantly, be like 140 to 143 basically, which would be quite good. Cool. Okay, from top to bottom. All right, so we got Matthew Stanislaw next. He says, is my linky still stinky? We already looked at that one earlier, so we are good there. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. NWB says, market participants seem to be moving to risk off assets. Would you still say it's a low probability of a bear market beginning, even with wicks down to mid 30s? Okay, so look, it always depends how you define these things, right? It would be very difficult to tell a rational person that, okay, we're down 40%, it's not a bear market, but like, what's the implication here? So when someone asks a question like this, I'm guessing it really depends on your disposition. Like, are you thinking fucking 5 to 10 years down the road? Probably going to be fine, to be quite honest with you, probably going to be fine. I mean, I'm a long-term bull on this asset class just in general, but it doesn't mean it's like fine to hold this right here. Is this a bear market? I don't care what you call this. If you're looking at anything less than a year, you need to trade this, in my opinion. And the way the point to have traded it was when the daily trend reversed, which we identified way back on over here, which was like 63. I think it was 63. We took out this last higher low, actually a little bit lower than that, more like 61 or 62, whatever it was. That's kind of the way that I look at it personally. If I'm like thinking, a year out or so, I want to be aware of the daily trend. So when people talk about bear markets, it's just like, how do you define that? If I don't define this as a bear market, which technically speaking right now, it's not, because I define a bear market as a weekly downtrend, and right now we have a weekly uptrend, although this does look, terrible. It doesn't look good right there. No doubt about that. But it's just what is the implication, right? Is Bitcoin in I think your real question is, do we expect like 3 years sideways and down from this current price point? No, I don't think so. $30,000 is kind of like your last macro base. If you're like a macro investor, you're probably looking at this as one massive consolidation range over the next 5 years, I imagine. And you're probably just gonna be looking at this as like a value play, and you're in the middle of the range here. So, a lot of those people are just gonna, start to bid just because of that region. So again, I don't, we'd have to really define terms in order to get into like a serious conversation about that. But like, would I say it's a low probability of a bear market? I define bear markets as weekly downtrends in cryptocurrency land. So I would say that we're actually technically not there just yet. If Bitcoin gets wicks down to 30,000 or especially close below that last lower low, yes, we have a lower low now, and then you need a lower high. So, if you're looking at a weekly, like if we were to enter, if not we, but Bitcoin and crypto by extension were to enter into a long-term bear market, it's probably gonna look something like this. Let me pull up like a fresh chart right here or something. There we go. So it'd probably look something like this. First, you take out the lows. And then after you take out the lows and make a move to like, mid $30,000 territory, you'd probably put in another rally, and it'd probably be, and then you kind of have to be on lower high watch. Once you get the lower high, which would, could theoretically come somewhere right around here, I'd basically want to be looking at like a Fibonacci retracement on a bearish retracement right here, which would actually be at the 618, about $54,000, a pretty, good area for a lower high. That's at the point where it really starts to get bearish. If you see something like that, then yeah, I'm not looking towards 30,000, I'm looking towards like 20,000. To be fair, we're pretty damn far away from doing that. So that's just the way that I personally defined it. And if that were to happen, that's probably how it looks like. But ultimately, I'm making a lot of assumptions right here, which just, might not be relevant in this case. Hey, what the hell was that? All right. So yeah, maybe we could come at that question a little bit better if like we had more information, perhaps. GEO says, cheers from California. What's up, man? Can you look at Hex? Dear fucking Lord. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. What is Hex doing here? Hex okay, so we did get our rejection, our level right here, getting a little bit of a bouncy bounce right now, but is this the bounce that you're looking for is the real question. No, I'm looking at anything under 27 cents as another lower high and likely to come lower over time. We did kind of have a LARP line bounce right here, if you want to call it that. I'd actually even move this level down now, to be fair, just because this is more relevant towards your current structure. But ultimately, yeah, I do think that you're going to bounce a little bit more from here, but I'd be cautioned at the 27 cent region. If you see anything resembling another rejection right there, similar to what you saw right here, if you see something like that, at that point, I'd be looking for this one to go for the full retrace back down to like 15 cents or so. And for right now, I would actually not be like full on long-term bearish on this, to be quite honest with you, just because coming back down to the 55 and base in there is like not a bad thing, to be honest with you. So, my main ideas on this one are pretty much unchanged. Long term, I think you're going sideways at best for like, at least another few months. Sideways meaning between about 35 cents high and about 15 cent low. And then if you're going to be bullish long term, you're just going to see this thing not break below about 15, 16 cents. And then, maybe like in a year from now, it tries another move to the upside. Until then, you got a parabolic blow off top. Usually best to be a little bit more reserved on these things in my experience. But I don't know, where do you get bullish on this thing yet again? Well, back above your last rejective highs right here. But to be honest, I don't think that's happening right now, to be honest with you. Anyways, let me move on down here. I think we have Mr. Kyle McDonald's next. Says, could you scope Raven? Oh, God. Oh, God. Raven coin. Okay. On the weekly, it's a fork of Bitcoin where you can create tokens tethered to any asset. That sounds great, man. That sounds really good. Hey, why does the chart look like this, man? Chart looks bad. It's actually not as bad as what I would have expected here. I remember this one from 2017 and 2018. And it's actually acting a little bit relatively strong over here, kind of similar to Link in the short term. It's actually not bad. It's actually not bad right here. Anyways, if you're on a weekly, I don't know if it's a fork of Bitcoin or whatever, but it's not like a good selling point for me. This is higher lows, and you are kind of, or you're somewhat around your range highs, to be fair. The bullish view is that you're doing something like this, and long term, if you're on a weekly, again, not a fucking daily, not a lower term time frame, but on a weekly, technically speaking, should be looking at this as bullish as long as you're especially above about 9.5 cents, let's call it, with just kind of sideways and up, and this one generally spending a lot of time going sideways until maybe like midpoint this year or summer of this year, and then maybe get your breakout somewhere around there. Anywhere below like 9 cents, extremely fucking bearish, and very likely does come back down to your summer lows. Until then, this one actually is not operating that poorly and among some of the stronger actors right now, which was quite surprising to see. So maybe I just went a little bit too early, just because I'm conditioned to seeing this one from like 2017 and 2018, which it did pretty much fuck all. But yeah, it sounds like you're just on very high term time frames. So yeah, actually not so bad right there, to be fair. Should give it the benefit of the doubt, obviously. Gemini Athlete MMA. Oh man, we got some Cardarpio action. Let's see where this baby's at. No one's asked about this thing in like a couple weeks now. Are we at 120? We are at 120. Beautiful. Oh, lovely Cardarpio. Show me your red dildos, sirs and zers. Let me redo this chart for the time frames that you're going to ask for. Although this is actually still all relevant right here. You can see how those ranges play out, but I'm going to get rid of them for right now because it's just kind of a bit of an eyesore. And there we go. And we don't need to mark off that one because that obviously did not get validated as an idea. Anyways, if you're asking about a two-day, hopium is that you're going to get a bounce off this region again, and you are building up some bullish evidence on a 2-day, to be fair. So there is that. 5-day, man, okay, so again, this thing's kind of at the point of maximum financial opportunity for the short term, actually. Where do I call this one a failure and very, 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 very likely to continue down to like $1 targets? Whatever your low is right here, this is, it's 4th of December, of course, 116. Any sort of a closing lower low, even on the 4-hour time frame, I would call this invalidated as a potential major low going on right here, and I'd be looking for big moves to the downside. Another 20% move, most likely somewhere down around about 90 to 95 cents, let's call it. Until then, look, it doesn't look strong here. This is not a fucking good chart. The higher term timeframes are weak as all hell, but this thing has really not had any bounce on a higher term time from this whole way down. It's been absolutely just shredded. So I'm more inclined to say that you're probably going to get one more bounce off this region alongside Bitcoin. And here would be a key area to be watching is just your last 4-hour high, which is actually not even this breakdown reach. It's a little bit lower than that. Let me just get rid of this right here, and we just plot this one out. If you see it back above about 128 that is, I would be looking for this one to recover and probably retest your range highs again at 150. Above 150, this thing is actually going to look like it's got a macro low end for what it's worth, which would be quite a fair bit, as targets up to $2 plus would be relevant yet again. Until that happens, I do think that this one is a little bit more it's had so many chances to break down here, man. I am a little bit look, if Bitcoin bounces, this thing's going to bounce as well. If it gets back above 128, you're probably going to see at least another test back up to 140, and then above 150, this one actually will confirm like a major macro low and start to talk about, moves back up towards realistically like 230 or so. Until then, be very, 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 very aware. 116, big area. Below 116, big fucking problems. Very likely to see 90 cents or so, give or take, maybe 5 cents from that number. I'm going to turn down the volume right there. My apologies. I think the sound actually comes in a little bit later. That's probably why. Anyways, BK says Vader versus Ethereum. Yeah. Okay, we've definitely been looking at this one recently, and I think yesterday it was actually another one of the better actors, and let's see if it's still there. Is it still there? Well, it's still holding up okay, I guess. Still got those higher lows, even on your short-term timeframes, but you're looking at a 4, 12, and daily. Let me just get rid of this for right now. Jesus Christ, man, that is... I'm going to turn down that sound a little bit more. Apologies on that. I do know it's kind of annoying. It can get in your ears, start controlling your mind. Okay, what the actual fuck? All right, I'm turning it off again. I think it's like playing catch up or something, man. Again, I appreciate the support on these streams, but man, those those chats getting crazy. We've still got 2,600 people here as well, which is insane, man. So major thanks for that. Yeah, you can close the super chats soon enough. Anyways, this one, what do I think about this one? This one's still holding up okay. I guess the hopium is that you got a 4-hour local low in the making right here. Would you have hidden bullish evidence along the same side? Yeah, you would if you confirm a local low here. How would you do that? I need to see a 4-hour close back above this last little breakdown, about 272,800, let's call it, at minimum. That would be the hopium. That does imply that you don't close anywhere lower than your current wick low, which is 227.5. If you see something like that, I would look for this one to actually unravel quite significantly with targets back down to about 200,000 butyrols even. Until then, I mean, yeah, yesterday. Okay, so yeah, we did hit our 1.618 target to the upside. So it is relevant to be looking at. This one is likely to consolidate for a little bit more time before anything else. Sweet. Chain Gangs Crypto. Nice, man. Hey, what's up? Can you do a VRA short medium term? Don't know what that means. I'm just an island boy trying to make it. How does that one go? How does that fucking go again? Island boy looking at VRA. Just trying to not go broke. I'm going broke. My VRA's wrecked. My VRA's shit. My VRA's going down. What do I do now? What? Yeah, I'll pin your message. Super chats is closed. They'll never be open again. Yeah, not great here. This one's already way lower than its 4th of December lows, man. That is not a sign of strength. But hey, when Bitcoin bounces, everything else probably going to bounce with it. In this case, this would be no different. Still not great. Anyways, what timeframes were you looking at? Short and medium term. Short term. Where do I actually call this one a little bit of a change of behavior here? It's not anytime soon. That's the problem with this thing. I would call a short-term bounce with any sort of a 4-hour closure back above 2.95 cent. With targets up to like 3.25 or so, but that's not a reversal. That's probably not relevant to you. Medium term, maybe I go to like a 6-hour for this. Again, not strong here. Like if Bitcoin bounces up, you're probably looking at this thing at best going back to like 3.4 cent. I don't call any sort of a reversal on this thing anytime fucking soon, man. This thing is among some of the weaker charts we've looked at today. In order to call a reversal on this thing, AKA being bullish again, I guess, would be, look, you just need one trend line right here. It's this. 4.8 cents above there. Yeah, we start to talk about this thing as done correcting. Until then, it's going to overperform to the downside and underperform to the upside most likely, and just not the picture of health and fitness here. That's a volcano chart right there. What the hell happened on this wick, by the way? What happened? What happened right here? Jesus, man. That is just deadly. That is just deadly. Adam Lindbergh says, sometimes you part to the right, sometimes left. Yeah, man, whichever way that my hair falls is the way that it goes. It has a mind of its own, man. It just has a mind of its own. Jay-Z is here. Holy shit. Bear Jesus. Mwahaha. That's right, man. The Island Boys and Bear Jesus are teaming up today. We wreck your coins. We make you broke. We sell it down.
Sorry, did you do Vader?
Yeah, I did Vader. Crypto King says, "Hey man, all good. Again, this is selfish altruism, man. I get a lot. I mean, first off, people are like paying for these comments, which is just insane. So I'm getting something from it. It's a selfish endeavor, but at the same time, hopefully I can give out some value as well. And thank you, man. Much love to you as well." Okay, Brizzy B. Why don't you trade breakouts, kind sir? Because most breakouts fail, and they have and for me, I'm a more conservative sort of person. I really want to lessen my risk curve, and a lot of breakouts they just fucking fail, man. So I don't like taking losses like that, and I'm also just not a good breakout trader, man. I just have never been very good at it. So that's why it's just knowing your edge, man. And that's the thing, is like people, a lot of the time when they're first coming into trading, I feel like they probably felt like I did when I first came into trading, which was I thought that you were like always going to be in a trade. You're always like doing these little fucking equations or, ding, 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 it's like, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking, but I thought that there was like always something to do. And one of the biggest things that I learned in order to like stop getting fucking wrecked was, hey man, you don't need to make a trade every day. You don't even need to make a trade every week if you don't want to. And trading is like a game of poker where you can just sit back and wait for your perfect hand and not trade until you get that perfect hand, which, yeah, it's still gonna have some degree to fail, obviously, but you can wait until those probabilities are very much within your favor, something that's acceptable to your risk appetite, and then take the trade. And there's no detriment towards waiting, except for, technically speaking, opportunity cost, but still, you get my point, right? I'm just not interested in trading something that's just gonna have a lower hit rate and something that I'm just not that very good to begin with. I can identify ranges pretty well. I can do all of that. But as far as like trading breakouts, it's not my strength. Other people are much more better at it than me, and teach their own, right? You don't need to do everything. Anyways, I truly army ones.
No, that last one.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
I truly army one says, can you please do XRP? Sure. Oh fuck. XRP. Actually, last we looked at it, it's like still kind of basing, to be fair. Basing off the same level as yesterday, to be fair. Very, very fucking close, man. But here's the thing. You're probably building up some bullish evidence here. You certainly are. What would confirm this as a local low, thus confirming regular bullish evidence of the, I think, three drives variety, which would be pretty good. Any sort of a daily closing high above your 79.25 cent high from yesterday. Ooh, sorry. Would do it for me. And then I'd be having targets back up towards somewhere in like the shallow 90-cent region. I don't know what time frame you're looking at because you didn't include it. Dodgymon, what's up, brother? Good to see you. And there's another one of our lovely moderators keeping everyone safe in Safu on these massive streams, man. Weekly, to be fair, to give Ripple its due diligence, I mean, this is not like a terrible chart long term. It's just, it's just uneventful is what it is, but puts in its higher lows, sloppy as fuck, but puts in its higher lows, holds its higher lows, and, can't really hit that long term. Problem is, or where is your problems? That would be below your 4th of December wick lows right here. Is that really helpful in this case? To be honest, I don't think so. I mean, it's like that'd be waiting too long, but that's the best that I can do to the downside for continuation, just based off my rules. And if that were to be met, I guess I'm looking for this one to unravel all the way down to probably well below 50 cents. Could I be maybe a little more aggressive than that? I guess if I had to, if you put a gun to my head, I'd be looking at your last wick low from 5th of January. So that was 2 days ago. And if you do close a lower low than that, I would be looking for, even on like a 4 hour, by the way, I'd be looking for a retest of your 4th of December wick lows and probably bounce there. But yeah, not the most simple one. Actually, the 4 hour time frame is the most obvious one right here. Look, anywhere back above 78.25 cents, even on a 4 hour closure, I'm looking for this one to recover all the way back up towards 90 cents, and this one starts to look good. I wouldn't say it looks good again, but it just looks like it's still holding this long term consolidation into this what would be like one massive ascending triangle over the past year or so now, or almost a year, and very constructively, in long term, probably, retest the highs of that, to be fair. So I'd actually give it the benefit of the doubt right here. Problem is, if it falls through the floor, 50 cents, baby. Fucking 50 cents. All right, sweet. I think we have Crypto Don Juan says, can you look at SYNA stock? Sure. Okay, SYNA US. No, Jesus, I don't need that for stocks. Obviously, I've been conditioned poorly. This was Crypto Don Juan, the first one, sir. All right. Let's see. What about a daily? Short-term bouncy, but this is looking like a top, man. This is looking like distribution. So you're probably gonna see a few more bounces at the top. I don't think it's gonna like break down this, maybe not even this month, but coming into next month, and somewhere around like February, March, I would be looking for this one to come down somewhere around 220-ish minimum. Here's your real chart again. I mean, this is a parabolic blow off, right? So long term, probably coming down. I mean, 180 to 190-ish region, but short term, should probably bounce here, to be honest with you. You didn't really include a time frame, so I don't really know where to go with that one. Short term bounces can bring you all the way back up to like 275 to 280, no problem. Not that I'm saying that it's exactly going to do that, but I do think you get a bounce here first, and then maybe like somewhere around February or so, start to come back down to about 220. That's the next sort of bounce area to be looking for, around that gap fill. And then longer than that, I do think that this one eventually comes down well below $200, somewhere around about 180 to 190-ish region. So again, I don't know what time frame you're going off of. Anyways, there he is, Leo YouTube. What's up, brother? Hola, Krown. Hola, mi amigo. Are you retired or active trading? I still trade, just kind of keep the sword sharp, but technically speaking, I am retired, I guess, because like I don't need to what's it called, like trade for a living, but I enjoy it, man. It's like a video game to me, and who knows, like at some point, you might still need that skill, and the only way that you're going to lose that skill is basically by not practicing it, just as with anything, right? Like, so you're saying, okay, on the Sims podcast, so you're not actually trading. I wasn't actually trading for that week because that week was pretty, like lackluster as far as opportunity goes, and I was kind of using my time to do other things. But that doesn't mean I'm not trading like for forever, man. I'm still watching things, of course, and actually made a lot of trades earlier this weekend, and even had another one this morning as well. But just short-term stuff, man. Not really interested in anything long-term. And obviously, the more and more that I think about it, it's like, there's no reason to stop trading for myself as well, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with like making more money, and it gives me more opportunities to do other things and spend it in other ways and invest in other things, which can actually make something better for like other people as well, if I do things right, and also make things better for myself as well, which is win-win, obviously. Anyways, Crypto King says, can you look at silver? Sure. Symbol XAGUSD. We'll go to forex.com, and your silver is going to moon in 2022. Not sure I'd agree with you. I don't know, man. I think that this one corrects down to below about $21 first before anything else. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's like full on macro bearish here. What does the quarterly look like on this thing? That's yeah, I'm not so confident on this one. I guess it's going to do whatever gold's going to do, but like in a higher beta fashion. So maybe we go check out gold actually, which is where's my damn golds? There it is. 1790 again. Gold I'm actually going to be bullish on for like the later half of 2022, but for right now it's still short-term corrective. Probably comes back down around like 1780 lows. So silver probably comes back down around its lows as well, but I do think that you're probably going to see some bounces around there. So I'd really only get bearish on silver for like the long term. Where would it be? That would pretty much be below about $20.50 below there. Yeah, this thing has no more hopium, and very likely goes for the full retrace. But for right now, I do think that you're setting a base right here, but that does imply that you probably at least test the base one more time. Yeah, something like that. Maybe comes back down to like 21 or so. Tries for a bounce there, something like that. Anyways, Charlie McIver, thank you for that, brother, but feel free to have a message as well. Greg Daniel says, do you think it's reasonable to use MicroStrategy's average Bitcoin price of 30,000 as a market bottom? Sailor's personal is average 10,000 cost basis. Ponzi, ha. I don't know, man. I don't know, because would I say that it's like a good market bottom? You could maybe... I'm just looking at MicroStrategy right here. Wow, that's a hell of a chart. Look, I think it'd be a lot more meaningful what MicroStrategy has if Sailor like had a good history of buying like actual bottoms, which he doesn't. He seems kind of just value buy for a very long term. So you can't really be incorporating his like 7 to 10 year long view. From what I understand, I think he's that far out with price action that we're kind of looking at over the next few months at most, realistically. So would I say that there's a market bottom at 30,000 just because Saylor has an average cost there? No, because that's what his fucking cost is. So if Bitcoin starts to come back down around there, I mean, you know, maybe he trades around that position. We don't fucking know. And if he starts unloading, you know, that's not going to be treated well by the market. I mean, he has over 100,000 Bitcoins, I believe, to his name or to his company's name. It's kind of a lot. You know, he can really move the market there. It's like I keep on going back and forth whether I think that that's a good thing or a bad thing for someone to have that many. I mean, at some point he will want to sell, I'm guessing, or at least a little bit. Like his loans are going to come up, right? So he'll have to be forced to do something in like 2027, I think it is. So take that as you will, man. But no, I don't know exactly what Mike Slago is doing, and if anything, I'd say that that's like a weak point. You know, I don't think his investors are going to be too happy with him if he starts to go underwater, and like each and every tick is $100,000 move essentially. You know, that's a fast, man. That's up really fast. Fucking by the dip says, I crushed it this year. Thanks for all you do. Hey man, again, like congratulations to you. That's fucking awesome, man. There he is, Bear Nutrition. By the way, Bear Nutrition, fun back still. Yeah, there you go. Bear Nutrition. I was actually pushing a few people the other day towards your services. That's my nutritionist actually. Bearthethought.com is where you can check him out. He's amazing. He's fixed a lot of problems for myself, as he did actually Elsa as well. So I'm very, very happy to be representing someone that's actually like provided me a shit ton of value. So yeah, give every opportunity. I want to give him a shout out for that. But yeah, there he is, the man himself. I see Arbiter Media as well. What's up, brother? What's up, Justin Young? There he is. Cool. Okay, so we got through that one. I think we got we have who do we? No, I didn't see a Tesla request, but we can quickly do it. It's probably rather simple here. Daily and weekly. Daily, bouncy. Weekly. Not bad, actually. What the hell? This is a hell of a surprise on this chart. Not bearish on a chart that looks like this yet. Only bearish below 1,000, and if it does go below 1,000, I'm looking for 940 to 950 or so. Until then, long term, this does look like... It looks like, I guess, one massive consolidation. All that you need to know is this right here. I don't think it's going to be doing anything super interesting to the upside anytime soon, but it's actually a little bit more like this. So if you do break below your current low, you know, any sort of a closing lower low than about $1,000, a little bit above 1,000, I do look for it to come back down and fill here, and then another bounce there. But I'm not necessarily bearish on a chart that looks like this long term. This actually consolidation on new highs and still holds the higher lows, and I imagine you probably have hidden bullish divergence there, and actually you don't on a weekly, but still, I'm not going to be bearish on something that's looking like this, especially as long as you're above that 920 gap fill. So even if it does come back down below $1,000, I'm only looking towards. It's more like 940. I'd still be looking for a bounce there and then come back to it after that. Other than that, I kind of like these 3 spike lows, you know, on the macro here. So fair enough. Anyways, sweet. Let's move on. And I think we got that. Echo ZN says BNB BTC 4-hour and daily. Sure. BNB BTC. Okay, Binance, and you're looking at a 4-hour daily. A little bit of a breakdown right here. 1, 2, 3 lower highs. You got the same lows. What is this? A bit of a descending triangle. This is not a sign of strength, and that is not relevant for this time frame. Got something like this going on, right? So you might get another bounce off this level. That's fine. Probably 4-hour time frame is going to show that, but when you start to actually break below this level and on a daily closing basis, it does have an implied target, which is rather significant, all the way down to 0.01 even. So that's a big move right there. 4-hour time frame as you requested, probably has at least one more bounce off this region. I don't think it's going to break down until Bitcoin breaks down, if Bitcoin breaks down. So the hope is that Bitcoin doesn't break down, it reverses, and then you'll know that this one's good again if it reverses back above its last high, which is 0.113 or 11,300, something like that. Sweet. Aiden says, is Cardano forming a cup and handle in the 4-hour? No, because cup and handles are continuation formations, not reversals, but I do still think that it probably has at least one more bounce there, assuming that Bitcoin does. So take that as you will. Again, easier to watch Bitcoin, but I think we went over that a little bit more in detail earlier. Eric Perkins says, if I get liquidated 2 times, should I try again 20x? If at first you don't succeed, try again. God damn it, Perkins. Justin Young, there he is to end the stream, my friend, to end the damn stream. Brainwashing my 2-year-old with another brick in the wall. Wait, no, we already read this. XRP, daily, weekly, monthly. Yeah, we got that one earlier. Same thing as before. But sorry for making you wait there, man. But you actually were last one of the day, I guess. I think worst case scenario downside is like 50 cents, but I really only look at that if you break your current range lows. Until then, Bitcoin bounces here, this thing bounces as well. And I just want to be aware of yesterday's high, actually 79.25 above there on a daily closure. I'd look for bullish evidence to play out back up towards 90 or so cents or so. Sweet, man. We are at the end of the stream. That is 1 hour and 50 minutes. We've got 2,400 people watching, almost 2,000 likes on the video. That is insane. What the fuck? That is insane, man. Wow. Hell of a day, man. Fucking hell of a day. Hell of a last 48 hours after about a month of mostly non-events for the big bad breakout traders. But for right now, just kind of wrapping up Bitcoin here. Said long term. Yeah, I mean we did get kind of long term on that one. As long as it's above 50 cents, I mean you still get your monthly higher lows basically, and it actually ain't bad. It's just that one's it's taken what, like 5-6 years. It could take another few years, to be honest with you. if you truly are long term, it's probably what you're looking at. It's just not a strong one is the problem. So it's going to need a really strong broad market, in my opinion. But as far as Bitcoin goes, I do start to think that you are finding your first sort of short term bouncy bounces. You are starting to build up a lot of bullish evidence on your short term timeframes, like an hourly. Your 4 hour is going to have a slight drive as well, most likely soon. So you probably do get a bit of a short-term reprieve. I would be looking, however, when U.S. market opens later today at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for maybe one more swipe of the lows, maybe even a little bit lower. But I do think that Bitcoin's entering into a bounty area, relatively speaking, anywhere around here. And again, on any sort of like a massive cascading liquidation wick down, based off of the hash rate indicator and based off that signal, I do still think that 38,000 or 37,500, more accurately said, is going to be the big bad area to be watching. So man, a lot of thoughts on this video and a really, really eventful last 48 hours. It's been a lot of fun, man. I want to massively thank everyone for joining on in. It's been a good time. Hopefully everyone's staying safe. And if you're not, hopefully, you're learning something from this, because again, it can serve you in the future. Markets ain't going anywhere. And if you do actually use these time to be learning, whether you're actively trading or not, this is really, 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 really good trading conditioning and an education that, happens relatively fast in this market in comparison to other markets where you really need to wait like years to see the sort of price action. Is actually quite useful, especially for people who are still learning. It's very, very eventful. So again, you don't need to be a fucking hero if you're still new to trading, or if you're just unsure if this isn't your edge. You don't need to do anything. The best thing to be doing is just learning, practicing your strategies via a testnet account or paper trading account, something like that. That is a really productive way to be using your time. And for the people who are having a lot of success, which I see that there's several people here, that's awesome, man. Fucking nicely done. This is a difficult market, and if you can make money in this market, you're very, very skilled, and that is something that you can work with for the rest of your life, perhaps. So hopefully this stream was in some way valuable. I'm going to be signing off now. Elsa's waving in the background because she loves you. It's been a fun week, and we'll be signing off now. We'll be back on it next week with some videos in between over the weekend for some more, I guess, analysis on the short-term time frame, especially. So we really had a full chance to do that just yet. But with that said, take care. Wishing you well yet again, and until next time.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it, burn it, pump it, hack it, quick rename it, take it, take it, blend it, send it, swell it, sell it, click, unflip it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, leave it, watch it, leave it, check it, click it, and refresh it, find it, drop it, crack it, lose it, curse it, pay it, to it, pay it, bar it, chart it, hide it, fight it, feel it, seal it, and unlock it, back it, send it, change it, blend it, mine it, find it, how it, test it, praise it, curse it, trash it, hash it, scroll it, troll it, and upgrade it, take it, make it, blend it, send it, swell it, sell it, click, unflip it, see it, watch it, learn it, know it, post it, tweet it, and repeat it, chart it, long it, short it, hedge it, post prediction, quick erase it, watch it, leave it, watch it, leave it.